I don't know if some people, they might not realize they're wrong, but if everybody telling you wrong, and you came to somebody that you know will tell you that you're right, and they tell you wrong, what's the purpose of getting mad at that?
They don't want to be wrong. It don't matter that everybody else has said it.
Ooh, you said some real deep on
I don't want to be wrong.
Yeah, you some real deep on
Who
that.
wants to be wrong?
I think that literally is damn near everybody's like underlying like issue. So embarrassment and not wanting to be wrong is synonymous with each other.
Yeah. Because, you know, like we sitting here now, if I say something and then you say, well, no, that ain't right. And I'm like, yes, it is. I've been to school 75 years, and then you come pull out a chat GPT, say something totally different. Now I'm pissed at you. Because you're trying to embarrass me. You're trying to belittle me. So, an analogy that I give for that is a person who is delusional. It's real to them. It doesn't matter what we say. It's real to them. They believe it. Their body responds as though it's real, then it's real. So what you don't do with that type of person is do all this extra work to try to convince them that what they believe to be true is not true. You teach them how to live in their reality. Sometimes people come to therapy and they're not ready to change their situation, but they need space. I'm gonna stress myself out trying to change somebody else's situation if they're not ready to change. If you believe that you're supposed to be where you are and you're trying to figure out how to live in that space, as long as you're not physically in danger, then that's all I can help you do is live in that. If you think you're right by staying with them, then so be it. I'm telling you, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years from now, y'all gonna have a problem because you've been just letting shit slide to keep her mouth quiet. And then when you finally get tired of it and it becomes an issue, she looking at you like, well, you ain't been saying nothing. Why is the problem now?
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I'm like, what if it's outside stuff he don't want to bring in the house?
Well,
that's my thing.
That's what your therapist is for, right? Your wife is not your dumping ground, and you're not her dumping ground. But if it's something that she's doing, or she's not managing within the family that's contributing to an issue for you, you should be able to say that.
That don't spot.
Yeah.
I get that good. I don't. Yeah. I'm the type. My outside don't have anything to do with the house. If you want to talk about it, and there's no solution because you're not talking about.
Yeah, stuff beyond your control.
Yeah, so at that point, that's why I really leave outside stuff outside and not bring it in the house. That's just me.
But most of the time when people, especially when the couples come, them men just be sitting there.
They don't want to do that.
They done got to a point where they just like, well, whatever she say. And then when I break them up, then he got lots to say. Well, you got to tell her she not creating a safe space for you to tell her how you really feel.
They scared of
their woman. That's your home too.
They scared of their woman.
Trying to keep her quiet. She got a problem anyway. You might as well say something.
But I don't think they scared of their woman. I think they're scared of the outcome of what's going to happen if they open their mouth. You know,
possibly. But I always ask people if you think the person that you with is going to do that absolute worst thing to you, whether that's kicking you out or physically assaulting you, you ain't supposed to be there no way.
I agree. Yeah.
You're supposed to be able to say whatever you need to say in enough safety. Is she gonna be happy about it? No. But you're not always happy about stuff she says either. That happens in a relationship.
Hold on, let's break. I mean, let's come on in. We back with we have to take a break. We got a little chilly outside, so we back in the building. Yeah, so let's pick up where we left off, man. But what was y'all just talking about? Because y'all just brought up something that kind of like run
like
through bills.
How couples relate to each other, like problems. And can you speak upon your problems? There's something that's going on with your spouse.
Yeah.
Back and forth,
and what we were just saying was just making sure that each person creates a safe space for their partner. Women can be wordy. We can be verbose and be like, I'm gonna tell you any and everything. And then men, will typically just kind of, they want to keep the peace and want to keep things quiet. And you only do that for so long because you're really not at peace. You're just trying to make her be quiet. And then eventually it's a problem when the problem really is she hasn't created a safe space for you to say how you feel. And everybody's trying to avoid, getting someone upset or hurting feelings, but that's gonna happen in a relationship. As long as you feel physically safe, you should be able to talk to your partner and vice versa.
And you probably laugh at this. So what would you say to the man that finally just say,
I would say, why did you finally get to a point of calling her that?
Now, you hold on, you didn't hear the question, right? You heard the
I
question,
asked the
right?
question.
No, you heard her question.
yeah.
What
yeah,
made
yeah.
you get to the point where you had to say,
Finally calling it.
yeah.
Finally. Your word.
Yeah.
You should have been said something.
Yeah.
If she was getting on your nerves with A, B, and C 5 years ago, that was
No,
the time to say
5 minutes ago.
You should have said it 5 minutes ago.
And you did. And just did.
So if you address it, so basically, if you're able to address things right out the gate, you don't have to blow up later.
Right.
So
and
you-
address it with yourself first.
Right.
Sometimes, it's a you thing. I was talking to my husband on the way here, and we was talking about how, I've had to make some adjustments. He is very laid back, and he gonna take his time doing everything. And it be getting under my skin sometimes, because I be like, let's get this done, let's do blah, 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 blah. And if we're traveling, he not gonna run. He will miss a flight. He not gonna run.
I can see that. You have to know a husband, man. That's him.
He not. So why should I
Okay.
get myself worked up and be like, okay, I'm helping, I'm putting a trip together, and we got to get off the flight, and then from the flight we got to get to the boat. We not ain't gonna do all that. We gonna fly in a day early. We're gonna spend that little extra money for a little nice room so he can take his time and get up, and then I ain't got no attitude, and I ain't got to be frowned up in front of everybody, and everybody like, well, why mama mad? I already know what he needs.
I sure want to ask that. Why you say a psychotherapist? Why do women have, in your opinion,
Don't go too
we're not
far.
gonna say, no, I'm not. Just
turn it into a whole different show.
No, no,
A
no,
man
no, no.
versus
Just-
woman.
No. It's not a man versus woman thing.
Okay.
It's actually what you think in a woman's head when she, I don't want to say treat him like a child, like her child, and put him on a time frame. What is it that what you think would upset women where y'all not on a time frame, where you want to be somewhere about 10, but he cool with being there about 10, 15?
I think because women tend to think of things as a whole and what's gonna happen next. Men are a little bit better for the most part at being mindful. I'm right here right now, and then when I get there, we gonna be there. I'm thinking, yeah, we right here right now, but if we get there late, then we gonna have to stand in line. And then when we stand in line, you gonna be upset, and you don't know you gonna be upset until we already in line.
Yeah, but I'm like, do you understand that most men have already thought that?
Wait, hold on. Let me say something real quick. Hold on. All right, so y'all remember when we was out on the patio the other day, and I was saying X plus Y equals Z? Is that how you think? Is it math? Is everything has to be calculated?
Everything is there's a recourse to it, right?
Exactly.
There's a domino effect to everything.
Right.
And I really honestly don't think that that's a man versus woman thing. I think that a lot of men are that way because we raise boys to be that way. We don't raise boys to think about all the extra stuff that has to be done. We raise girls to think that way. You got to get up, you got to make sure you take care of your body, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to be here at a certain time. Our boys, we tend to, okay, get up, get your clothes together. The girls, you teaching them all these things that they're going to have to do for some reason. And it just kind of ends up being that way. Now, some women can take it too far. I can take it too far. And my husband be like, you need to chill out. I'll be like, all right. Okay.
Do you listen to him?
I'm gonna listen.
So if he feel like you're doing too much, you listen to him.
I'm gonna
regardless
listen.
of how heated you are.
I'm gonna listen because he can see something in me that I cannot see. And a lot of the times I might need to calm down. If it's not an emergency, it's not a crisis, that's something people hear me say all the time. If it's not that serious. If he say, hold on a second, I might be dancing in my seat, but I'm gonna hold on. I'm not gonna make no big decisions when we're supposed to be in a partnership. I wouldn't do that if I signed a legal document with somebody and we running a business. So
Right.
I can't do that in my home.
So it's like put your nurture in that bay.
Nurturing, sometimes you do, because we can take nurturing too far, right? That and for some of us, like I mentioned by myself before, some of us that's trying to curb that people pleasing. Nurturing can border into people pleasing, because you just want everybody to be comfortable, you want everybody to be happy, and you don't realize that you're enabling people. You handicap them from being able to do the things that they need to do for themselves.
So how firm, how direct do you think people should be when they're trying to give people, let's say, constructive criticism, or they're just trying to tell them, look, this is what you like? How direct do you think people need to be? I can't even say without hurting their feelings, but what's that direct approach? What does that look like?
Being assertive and being tactful. You know, like if someone sees me doing something and they think that, hey, you know, I don't think that's cool, like, yeah, you can say that. It's up to me to take it, and how I feel about it. No matter how you say it is up to me. But if you're really trying to be mindful of how you present to people, then you can say things a certain way and it be received the way you want it received. That's the problem. A lot of times people are saying things and you just want to say what you're saying. You're not paying attention that you want the person to receive it the right way.
Yeah,
if I tell my friend, you know, girl, you got me messed up, every time I ask you to do something, she gonna take that completely different than if I say, hey, you know, my feelings been a little hurt. I had this going on and I was really hoping that you were gonna be able to be there. You haven't been there, and I'm just kind of wondering what's going on. That's a whole different conversation. But we done got used to rah-rah, and I'm gonna say how I feel. You don't have to say it like that. What's your motivation?
That pisses me off. I can't stand that.
What's that?
When people, look, hey dog,
I'm gonna tell it like it is.
No. First of all, when you say I'm finna tell it like it is, true story. On my mama, you finna lie to me. So you not? I don't understand why people do that. I don't know if they.
I don't think it's really about. Once people get to that level, it really ain't about them wanting to have the other person hear and understand them. They just want to say what they saying. If you really want somebody to receive what you're saying, you're gonna say it a certain way, right? We all know about finessing.
Yeah.
Even street people know, right? What do pimps teach you? You don't come out the gate like that.
Yeah.
If you want somebody to receive something, you give it a certain way.
Right.
But if you coming at them a whole different type of way, you are no longer even concerned about whether or not they receive it. You just want the attention of being able to say what you want to say, how you want to say it.
And get heard. I'm a firm believer that when you talk with anybody, if you're in your circle, people you know, I'm not gonna come to him. I might come to Eric different because I know how Eric is. I'm gonna come to Chris different. I know how Chris gonna receive it. I know Eric gonna receive it, and they may not receive it differently. I think it's about how I can still say the same thing, but you gotta know who you're talking to. You gotta know how you come to them and how they're gonna perceive it as. Like, I won't take something, and I made an example. A guy told me something at work, and I don't know you. I'm not gonna take that well, because first of all, you don't know me to even be telling me that. Now, somebody who knows me can tell me that same thing. I receive it better because I said, well, yeah, you do know me, so you may have a point. I might not take it, and they probably say the same thing. So it's about sometimes the people you're around.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, you can tell your friend girl in a certain way, she's gonna be okay, I'm cool. But this other girl can say it to her, oh, she's gonna fight. So I think it's about who your circle is and who your people and who you know who they are.
Yeah.
But why do you think we get so confrontational just from the truth?
Because with one emotion, people think that anger is a problem. Anger is a secondary emotion.
Right.
Every single time. The primary emotion that people have issues with is embarrassment. So you don't want to be told nothing. You feel embarrassed by what's being said. Well, you know, we all got to be embarrassed about something. If you learn to just take it on the chin a little bit, you'll be all right.
That's crazy, dude. I just said that last night.
You just said what?
About anger being secondary. It is.
You mad because I don't agree with what you saying?
So what you think, if a person is angry because they don't agree with what's being said, what you think the primary emotion is?
Is it the primary?
That underlying emotion.
Something else was wrong, and you mad at me basically because I didn't agree with you.
You know, you might have been the person that day. everybody else done went against them, and here you go again. Now they feeling offended.
So
Well, come on back now. Right.
It's the primary.
Right, come on back now. Why are you offended by me?
Right,
There's
right,
nothing.
right.
And once you deal with that, then you know what I mean, you have to be angry because you know I'm not trying to be offensive to you. This is your own stuff, and you need to deal with it.
So why would, I don't know if some people, they might not realize they wrong, but if everybody telling you wrong and you came to somebody that you know will tell you that you're right and they tell you wrong, what's the purpose of
They
getting
don't
mad
want
at
to be
that?
wrong. They don't want to be wrong. It don't matter that everybody else has said it.
Ooh, you said something real deep on
I
that
don't
one.
want to be wrong.
Yeah, you said something real deep on that
Who wants
though.
to be wrong?
I think that literally is damn near everybody's like underlining like issue. So embarrassment and not wanting to be wrong is synonymous with each other, basically.
Yeah.
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 Because, you know, like we sitting here now, if I say something and then you say, well, no, that ain't right. And I'm like, yes, it is. I've been to school 75 years and then you come pull out and chat GPT say something totally different. Now I'm pissed at you. Because you're trying to embarrass me. You're trying to belittle me. Right?
Yes. But see, the thing about it is though, you have people who are, I'm not saying they intentionally do it, but you have people that seem to think that a lot of stuff they say is always right.
Right.
And they come off like, and they don't know they come out of it, but that's how they perceive as, and you can't really tell them nothing. Now you can have your facts, and they can have their facts. They're not.
And two things can exist at once.
And to me, they're not great listeners. That's my opinion. They're not great listeners. They think they are, but they're not, because the fact is, they're not willing to accept anything that you may be saying. Because like I said, just because you're right don't mean I'm wrong. If we get together, we can both be right. But I'm going to listen to you, try to see where you're coming from. You listen to me. But these people who think that do not listen that well, because they own base everything. Well, no, you're wrong. I'll be like, for real? That's how you think? They're not that great listeners.
Let me ask you a question. How much of this conversation can you see was projected?
What do you mean?
From a personal projection?
About myself?
No, about everybody. Can you identify a projected situation? Meaning, we all know each other, but we could possibly be talking about each other. You see what I'm saying? I ain't saying we are. I'm saying, can you tell when somebody's doing that?
Normally, but I try not to make any assumptions, because assumptions by people in their behind every time. And it is funny, like you said. So, I was talking to my best friend earlier this week, and she was like, "Did you see that somebody posted blah 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 blah, and they talking about us?" And I was like, "Were they?" If he ain't tagged me, he ain't talking about me. I don't know who you talking about. He could be talking about lots of people, because lots of people probably feel the way that he's addressing. But I try not to make assumptions, and if it's a conversation where I'm talking one-on-one with somebody, I try to get people to just say it. If this is who you're talking about, or you're talking about me, I need you to say it, especially if you want me to correct my actions. Don't be evasive with me. If I've done something and you want me to fix it, and I want to fix it because I want this relationship with you, you need to tell me.
Right.
So that's why I made sure mama that I'm in who. Is right-minded wrong-minded or rude-minded?
Is right-minded.
If you right-minded in your right mind, somebody think you wrong, is that rude-minded to say what you right about?
No, because I think it's like he said, like somebody is always right to some degree. If you haven't noticed yet, I'm an analogy queen. So an analogy that I give for that is a person who is delusional. It's real to them. It doesn't matter what we say. It's real to them. They believe it. Their body responds as though it's real, then it's real. So what you don't do with that type of person is do all this extra work to try to convince them that what they believe to be true is not true. You teach them how to live in their reality. Sometimes people come to therapy and they're not ready to change their situation, but they need space. I'm gonna stress myself out trying to change somebody else's situation that they're not ready to change. If you believe that you're supposed to be where you are and you're trying to figure out how to live in that space, as long as you're not physically in danger, then that's all I can help you do is live in it. If you think you're right by staying with them, then so be it. I'll be here next week when you come back.
I wasn't talking about relationships. I was just talking about in general.
Just in general, I think, but it's the same
It
principle
applies.
applies.
It's
to
the
me.
same thing.
If you think that you're right, okay. If you say that that chair is red, all right.
I'm not gonna talk to you.
And that's kind of what
Well, I'm not gonna go like back and forth with you. Okay, that you're red. You know?
if your thinking is clearly off and you believe something, like your perspective is so true to you, and you got 5 or 6 people up here that don't like agree with you, and you say, now what you're saying is help that person, I guess, help them with their reality.
Allow them to be in their reality. You wasting energy on a person like that. That's like trying to have a conversation with a hardcore racist. It does not matter how educated you are or what you got going for you or that you come from resources yourself. If they have an opinion about you based on the color of your skin or your gender, that is what it is.
Right.
You waste time over there. You need to spend your time with somebody who might be on the fence or somebody who's willing to hear that. This person has already made their decision. They decided what they decided. You need to be separating yourself from that.
So what does that red flag look like initially when you meet somebody? What can that initial red flag say about what they could possibly be capable of later on? Like that.
So that's like I would be overgeneralizing if I said, this person could be dangerous, because I honestly believe that given the right circumstances, any of us could be dangerous. Some people, you mess with their children, that's the final straw. Some people you mess with their car.
That's the first.
That's it, right? So any of us could be that, but what their capacity of doing something out the realm is, if you're challenging something that they believe, that's when they get worked up. Just let them be if they're not bothering you. And if you're in a space where you feel like you have to fight, because a lot of us get in those spaces, like in work situations, I always ask people, what can you do that's reality-based acceptance until you can remove yourself from the situation? Everybody like to say, well, just leave the job or leave the relationship. If it was so easy for people to just walk away from the things that they were involved in, then everybody would do it. That's not the case. You have to figure out how to live within your own safety until you can make a move to do something else.
Yeah, I agree.
We was talking about on the patio, we was talking about, you were saying something about like relationships and people on the outside on social media saying why they stay together and stuff like that. Like when you said that, I thought about Rashida and Kurt from Love Hip Hop, right? And we see what they go through.
Why should she leave?
That's my question. So
I have no content of what you're speaking about.
I don't either. I'm like,
I don't look at reality.
So on Love and Hip Hop, there's a girl called Rashida and her husband named Kurt. He done had like 2-3 babies on her while they was married. She kept taking them back. He just a known cheater. He up there with Stevie J.
Okay.
Right? I don't watch it. I just remember it from so the storyline is the same thing, but they stand together. And now the comments, everybody talking about why Rashida choose to stay with him. But then you got other people like, that's what used to, they're an example of people that get through a marriage regardless to what. So
I ain't saying that.
that's a nice.
But you did just kind of say
I said, why should she leave? And I didn't say because she needs to try to work her marriage out. But let's be logical here. The other thing he didn't mention about Rashida is Rashida was originally a rapper. But y'all don't even know who she is.
No.
And when I say originally, I mean Rashida was rapping in the 90s, early 2000s. What she's known for now is her relationship that's on Love and Hip Hop. If she's not with Kirk, what else is there?
right.
Why should she? Yes, it might be internally doing whatever. I don't even believe that that's the case. I believe that she's choosing money and fame and what's going to be best for her family.
That makes sense. So
nobody wants to see a boring storyline on these reality shows. If she don't get on there and Kirk ain't done something crazy, we don't want to watch it. Why should she leave?
So would at that point, Eric, both of you and Drake, at that point, will you be sold because they keeping the what they call it? Oh, brain cramp real quick. My bad. I'm sorry. The intrigue there. And or have it been proven that he did it or still doing it?
I think they feed off each other.
You think they feed off each other?
So with
Because
that,
what he gonna be without her?
You're right. I think they do accommodate each other.
If you know your husband is a multiple cheater, wouldn't you cheat also? At some point?
Some women do. Some women do. And some women, you know, they don't have it in themselves to do it, and they just accept or allow.
So okay, now like you saying earlier, people put stuff in their mind. If you put that in your mind that your husband is doing that per se, and you start doing it, and then you find out that he wasn't, it was just something that you was thinking.
That's tragic.
How does a person deal with it?
That's tragic.
Man.
Don't make no moves until you know for sure.
but I also think that, you know, just because your individual person, spouse cheat, whoever you are and you built yourself on your character of what you've been before you and that stuff, and you strong on your own self, it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, well, he cheat, I'm going to cheat, or vice versa. Because, like I said, I know people with high character. I know one person that has very high character, and they're gonna still be themselves regardless of what you're doing, because they base everything on faith, and they're not gonna, as it's been said, you're not gonna send me to hell. If I do, I'm gonna send myself to hell. So I'm gonna still keep on doing what I'm doing regardless of what you're doing. And I've learned from them people, like, you know, that's how I think people ought to be anyway. I'm gonna still be me regardless to what, you know. You're not gonna change me in a sense. Whereas if you're doing bad, I need to go do bad. No, I'm gonna keep doing me, because if you don't respect it, somebody's gonna respect this, you know. And that to me is where I think high character stands in. And a lot of people don't have high character though.
You have to be accountable. You know, you can say, well, I did this because this person did that, but you did it because you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Because you could have chosen to say, well, I don't like what you're doing and I'm gonna leave. This the end of this movie. I'm gonna go roll the credits and you can go have your movie with somebody else. You chose to say, well, I don't want to let you go, but I'm gonna go do this on the side, just like the person who cheated on you.
But I don't think people think that way.
What,
like
about
they'll
getting
rather
back?
just not getting back, as opposed to just saying I want to leave.
Because we
As
selfish.
opposed to go.
People are
claiming I'm
selfish.
selfish?
We're selfish and we're
Like
possessive.
this,
So what?
We're selfish and we're possessive.
Okay.
Yeah.
People are selfish and possessive. That's mine. We learn when some of your first words is mine.
mine. Yeah.
You mine. You can't leave.
So we just straight. So in our mind, we really do think we own that person.
Yeah. Everything is about ownership. The country is built on ownership.
Right. Right.
If it wasn't, then everybody would have just been as free as they was, and the Native Americans was doing their thing. But we people came here and said, this land is mine and I need to put a name to it, and then these trees belong to me and we need to name this a certain park, and now we need to make sure that the children that we bear belong to somebody and make them responsible fiscally and physically. So now you need to be married. Everything is about ownership.
I've never thought of it like that, but that makes a lot of sense.
I was about to ask that because it's why every time you say my husband, my wife, my husband, my wife, my husband, my.
Cause he mine. He signed that paper.
Oh, okay. What's inside the paper?
That's mine. He stepped out of line if he wants to, but he's still mine, and I'm still his. We gonna figure it out, but the law say you belong to me. And even people who don't operate under that, people who don't operate under marriage, you possess the same possession.
Yeah. The paper
These
really don't
people
make
belong
it.
to me.
It just paper make it legal.
Yeah, you just don't want somebody else to make you accountable for your behavior. That's why you don't want to put your name on no paper.
I disagree. This is the first time I'm finna disagree with you.
What if somebody that did that? Because I'm like, that didn't sound right.
No, but see, I know Eric's thoughts about putting your name on paper.
Yeah.
What's the thought?
No.
It's just, if now I sign away my rights, basically. I sign myself away
You
to
sign
somebody
your
else
life away.
based on the law. But aren't we
On the
already
law wherever you are.
the law wherever you are? All right, so whatever your perspective is of God, wouldn't your relationship in and of itself be a marriage? Would it be still considered a marriage because you're already intertwined, your souls are connected, you're married?
If from a spiritual sense, yeah.
Okay. By law, so you've been married how long? Never mind, don't worry about that. You know time.
You still don't be asking me questions related to time. Just ask your questions, sir.
Now that's another thing, Dr. Do. You can't ask them no questions.
No.
This ain't about me. This is about you.
It's about you. Not what you said, not about me. Yeah.
I'm keeping it on me. So what are the so why can't a person, in your opinion, why do you feel like if two people say they're gonna stay together and they can hold vows to each other without having to sign a piece of paper, what is the benefit of signing a piece of paper other than you give all your possessions away?
Well, basically, it's like you're saying, it is about the possessions, right? Because of the land that we live in. It sounds all nice and spiritual and earthy and all of that to be like, well, we belong to each other and we don't need to put anything in writing until something happens to the other one. And not even, let's not do the whole, somebody gets a divorce and the wife should be entitled to this. Let's just do a basic thing that happens all the time.
Death.
Right. I say that we belong to each other. And there's a medical situation. And this is 2025 and we still got race issues.
That's about that.
But you belong to me. And I come to the hospital and I say, my man don't want this. You ain't his wife. You can't make that decision. And y'all don't be putting nothing in writing, so they gonna make whatever decision they want to make for you.
I'm inclined with you. I see what road you're going there. I'm gonna be inclined to agree with you right now.
With me or him?
With Eric.
I got you.
I'm inclined to agree. Cause we're just saying use the hospital instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually declining that. No, she just changed my perspective. Just let her.
No, because we not married.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened to me. I can actually sign a POV that
yeah, but
she's there.
You didn't hear me. What I just say? I said y'all don't be doing that. Now you should.
See, if you don't want to get married, you can sign the POV and it's another. It's like 2 or 3 of them.
Where you assign who makes the decisions for you.
Yes, you do that.
Yeah. Right.
You can do those.
But that's what I was going. I was actually looking into what contract can we have with each other without the government getting involved.
You can do those things, but here's the issue with our people that I have. We say all these things that we can do, but we don't.
Don't do them. That's it right there. Right.
The 4 of us sitting here may have done this, the 5 of us, right? Mm-hmm. But if we rounded up 50 more of us, who's doing it? You spending so much time trying to make sure that nobody can own you or tell you what to do, but you're not also what's the word I want to use here? Changing that energy into the time where you should be doing something. You should have paperwork to say, this person that I decided to share my life with is the one who makes decisions for me. But they don't do that.
So let me ask you, in your own opinion, do you think women want a marriage certificate or their POV certificate?
I think that most women have been conditioned to want a marriage certificate.
They're not knowing they get more benefits from the other.
Or they don't even know how to get the benefits that they want from either. They just want to be married.
Right. Because the marriage, you can split half. But when you sign the POVs and all the H something, I'm sorry, I'll think about it later. You get everything because he's giving it to you.
But for a lot of women, it's a sentimental thing, right? But you're not taught beyond the sentimental. But that kind of goes back into child rearing. We teach men to be conquerors and have as many as you can, and then you teach women, well, find you somebody that's gonna want to marry you. Well, who the conquerors? They supposed to be messing with the women, ain't it? We got to give folks the same message.
I would say you're supposed to have at least 7.
Who say who had one now? 7 what?
Wives.
Oh, well, you know, there was also a time when he was supposed to be able to support all of them. I don't need
He
nobody
did.
telling me in 2025 when both of us got to do everything. You can't have a bunch of us up in here.
So if
Because I'm possessive.
I wouldn't.
so if he took care, if he took care of you, you didn't have to work, you didn't have to do nothing to you and the kids.
I
He can
might
have
have
6
to
other
be.
wives.
I might have to be able to be trained to adjust, but you're not gonna sell me on something that was supposed to be okay back then under different circumstances. These is totally different circumstances. We can't even. We can't do that.
Please go there.
I'm gonna go back to something Eric asked you about 10, 20 minutes ago, and you actually asked the question, you just don't know it. I've been listening, I'm just sitting back listening. You were saying something, and then somebody said something, you said, did you listen? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So remember the question Eric asked you about, can you see, well, kind of like what we're saying, like, people, no.
Y'all talking about each other.
And you actually asked me, I'm like, did you listen? I'm like, yeah, I said the same thing. Did you hear her? You didn't hear her. But hey, I mean, you know, I just, like I said, when you analyze, when people sit back, like I said, I'm listening. I'm just hearing everybody talk.
And we all actually, and I'm projecting too, but I guess we ain't really got no choice, because these are the conversations I done had. I done had it with him, my girl. So I'm the type, I will express how I feel, so I don't give somebody like false expectations. Now I do want to be married. I just, the way I think now, maybe I'm too far gone away from, like, I just want to be free. I just want to have my own, I want to own me. I want us to own us.
Yeah.
But nobody else.
And that's okay. You know, marriage is not for everyone.
Right.
Having children is not for everyone. So I don't believe that men should be guilted into being married if it's not what they want, any more than women should be guilted into having children if that's not what they want. It's a lot of women that should not be having no kids.
Right.
You didn't have no business having children because you didn't want to raise a child. You just did it because somebody told you were supposed to, or your body was able to, but you're not a mother. If you're not ready to be a husband, you don't want to be one, or you don't want to be in a monogamous relationship, then keep it real, like everybody like to say, and just say that. Don't sell somebody on a dream that you want a monogamous relationship, knowing that as soon as they back turn, you're going to do what you want to do.
Right. Now,
Give the person the option to say whether or not they want to buy into what you're selling.
Right, but now hold on. Let me correct that. It wasn't for that reason. Like I'm domesticated.
Domesticated.
It's just one. Listen. I got one woman.
He trying to let you know.
Because not for that reason. Just for the reason of, like, just how I see marriage now.
Yeah.
And having to sign away all your rights and have the government in your business. But when you said something about, well, they got to sit up to where, you know, if you're not married, then she can't really sign for you. She can't come to the hospital and, you know, claim you as. So those things kind of stood out to me. So now I got to kind of rethink things.
Well, I mean, the government in your business anyway. I don't know why we try to act like they not. They got a hold of everything that we do and don't do.
Am I the only one? Are y'all? He been married before.
I was saying POA.
Oh yeah, the power of attorney.
POA.
No, but you know what? I'm glad you remembered that. If we take marriage off the table, right? I used to work for Social Security Administration. Ain't nobody doing no POAs until it's too late.
And that is more powerful than the marriage.
Because you could be married to somebody, but if I say he on my POA, it don't matter what my husband
don't say. Have nothing. It's POA. I'm saying POV, my bad. POA.
But nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing anything. But that's an example, right? You said you don't want the government in your business. If you do a POA, the government in your business. It's a legal document.
But can I have say so over who takes what?
Yeah,
in the event
that's
what marriage is too. You chose the woman to say who gonna make the decisions for you. What's the difference?
But if I'm saying,
but the POA is more powerful than the marriage.
But I ain't. Hold on, let me make sure I'm on the right page. I'm saying, if I get married and we get divorced and I'm worth $10 million, I gotta give her half.
No. Yo, whoever you see.
Not a POA.
He's just talking about
the marriage. Talking about marriage.
Yeah, the marriage.
First of all,
if the judge say that, then I gotta do it.
You can make that decision before you marry that person, right? And that depends on what state you're living in. People don't exercise all of their rights.
Right.
We be living. Everybody does it. You make decisions based off how you
Right.
feel,
And maybe-
not understanding later on you might feel differently.
Yeah.
So, but if your answer to that is, well, that's too complicated, I don't want to be married, that's fine. My issue with those types of individuals is just like how we talked about the red chair or the blue chair. You don't have to believe in marriage. But if I do, and if it's what I want, and I chose a man that wants that, I don't need you trying to convince us what's not good for us.
Right.
Just like I ain't trying to convince you that it's ridiculous that it's 6 of y'all living in a 1-bedroom apartment talking about poly is great. If that's what you believe, fine.
Yeah, that's retarded.
Let me have what I got and you have what you have.
Right.
I think understanding is to me, is always the fundamental thing. If we have an understanding prior to you want to be married, not be married, whatever, if we know what we want, you don't want the same thing, then we don't need to deal with each other. But if I'm in a marriage, if I've married you, I'm supposed to be taking you as an individual. We're one. We're not two. We're one. So if I die or I got money, whatever, that means you got money. That means that if that goes to you, and vice versa. Understanding, and I think a lot of people don't go into marriage with an understanding.
Right.
I think people go into marriage with, like you said, the thought of just being married and stuff, but they ain't sitting down and had a real conversation about what is a marriage between me and you. Because your marriage may be different between somebody else's marriage.
Yeah.
We need to talk about what we expect from each other,
Yeah.
what we want from each other, and this is what we're gonna have as our marriage. Your marriage won't be the same as mine because
not supposed to.
because we're mindset are different.
And that's just like she just said, people ain't doing it.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, they're not.
You got the butterflies. You go into a relationship thinking that you ain't seen them in all their seasons, and then
Nope.
you start. At some point, you will see it, but it ain't before you had that real conversation. So I mean, we all guilty of it. To be honest with you, that's why I question myself on, like, if I end up in a space where with a person and I've got like deep in, and I start seeing their ways, and I feel like I can't deal with it. I'd be more mad at myself, like, why didn't I seen this long ago? Why didn't just leave then?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
But you
that's
answered
them red
your own
flags.
question.
Right.
You saw it long ago.
Them red
Why didn't
flags.
you act
Yeah, that's what she was saying
then?
earlier.
Well, we're not communicative here. And I say here, I'm meaning in the States. We're not communicative, and we don't practice discipline.
right.
Everything is how we feel, and that's why people like to make those comparisons. Well, how come marriages don't work in the States but they work in other countries? Because they marrying for a bunch of other reasons. It's not just like you make me feel good. No, everybody got to bring resources here because it is a legal binding agreement. This ain't just about love. And you make a decision about somebody that's going to take care of you and your assets afterwards.
Right.
If I have to question that you're not going to take care of me or make good decisions for me if something happened to me, I didn't have no business marrying you. And as a woman, I didn't have no business laying with you. I'm giving you the most precious thing I have. I shouldn't be doing that if I don't trust that you're going to look out for me.
I'm so glad you said that. But we always had, see, this on the Universal Thought Podcast, we talk about how the mind works and people's thinking and perspectives, and what you just said. At some point I got to the conclusion, I was like, look, relationships can't be based on love. If you lose or don't check off one of these other things, if it means that much to that person, they'll leave you, and they'll still love you, but they will leave you because it's something that you lack. So you agree with that?
Yeah.
Relationships aren't based on love.
Love is an emotion, and all emotions are temporary. When people learn to navigate within that, then you can make better decisions. You love your children, right? But if we're gonna be honest with ourselves, if you've seen your kid from here to 20-something, it's times where you don't like your kid.
Yes.
So you don't operate strictly out of love for them. You operate out of obligation. You operate out of safety. You operate out of self-preservation. Love might be
Who stole my bologna sandwich?
stole your bologna. Listen, I got a teenage daughter. I love her, but sometimes we butt heads because that's just what women do. And she's a teenage girl, so her emotions can be all over the place, and then I have to dial it back and not meet her energy. Just because you feeling some type of way don't mean I should. But when we base the relationship solely off of how we feel about each other, emotions are temporary. So you're going to feel differently at some point. But if I want to make sure that you're okay because it's the logical thing to do, then that's what I need to do. if we not together anymore, but you're a good father, why am I going to impede your ability to be a good father? Just because I don't like you no more. You a good dad, I need to be thinking logically here. My children need to benefit from you being a good father. And if I tear you down, you can't be a good father. Now my kids messed up and then now I gotta step in.
Yeah.
So you think irrational decision making is probably one of the most downfalls of different parents' kids?
It takes a lot of energy to be rational
Oh, yes.
and logical.
Yes.
People think, it takes a lot of energy to be emotional.
They don't.
When you have to make a decision that's going to hurt you, but you know it's the right decision to make, that's a whole lot of energy. It don't feel good, but it's got to be done.
It's got to be done. Yeah.
And like I said, I talked to your husband a lot lately.
Oh my.
Not about you.
I'm
just
assuming
talking.
are you the disciplinarian at your house?
What?
Like with the kids and stuff? Because it's like mom is just so laid back. Like he don't just it's just like he don't. I don't say he don't care. He don't let nothing affect him. But it seems like you kind of passionate, and like you'll be the one that gonna put them in check when he don't.
You know what? I'm passionate about everything, but honestly, this is not like me just being, my children are. Our children are so much. My son is very much like his father.
Okay.
And our daughter is very much like me, but they gonna do what they supposed to do.
Okay.
They're both like us in the sense of we don't want to be bothered, so we gonna do what needs to be done so you can stay out our face.
Oh my goodness.
So we haven't had a lot of disciplinary issues with the children. So the most it might be is, hey, I told you to call me when you get to the next destination. Why haven't you done that? Even though I can see on location where you are, I said to call me. But it's I can count on one hand how many times both of those children have had a hand raised to them. But that might just be, our personalities that, that's the households that they were raised up in.
Y'all look at them like, man, you just like me. You can see that.
Sometimes my daughter told me that last night. I said, why every time I say something, you got to say something back? Well, you raised me.
Wow. See, back in my day, that was she did at the dentist's office Monday morning.
Yeah, back in those school days, yeah.
It is.
Can you
it is.
see the difference?
But you know what? I laughed because she's right. And she wasn't intentionally being disrespectful. She's telling me the truth. How am I going to have a problem with the fact that she knows that she knows it? If I don't agree with something, I need to speak my mind about it. I want that. And for her to be a girl, I want that. I don't want her to be raised how I was raised. That I let a lot of things happen to me because I was afraid to say something because I didn't want to get in trouble. I couldn't communicate because I was told to be quiet. No, say what you need to say. Now, if you get too saucy.
Yeah, let me get that. And that's what I about that. I hear a lot of people say that, which kind of throw me for a loop. I don't want to raise my kids the way I was raised. Did you turn out okay? Did you turn out fine? Did you turn out well?
I did not.
I'm like, that's kind of what I'm talking about now, but I'm just saying, but it might not be the same terms and ways that you was raised, but look, I'm still here, I'm still standing, and I'm made something of myself.
Yeah. We don't need to abandon everything.
Is it okay to have your kids, even if your kids die, you feel they fortunate, more fortunate than you were?
Definitely.
Is it okay to have them have a little suffer before they get to the world and the world make them suffer?
Absolutely. That's the balance, right? I think what has happened with some of us is our parents suffered so much that they made sure we suffered extra so that we would be okay, but forgot to give us the other side of the preparation.
Yeah.
And so our generation, I think, is trying to find a way to balance that. We're not going to be perfect in doing that. There are lots of things that, even with my trauma, right, even with the things that I miss, there are things that my grandmother and my mom they instilled in me and they provided me with that I learned from. My kids need that, but they also need the other pieces that I didn't get, that had I gotten those things, a lot of situations I wouldn't have been in.
Right.
I agree. I totally agree. Don't get me wrong. I'm from old school. You know, my mom took a belt to me sometimes. My mom was raising 3 boys, so it was like times she had to.
Yeah.
And to have that, but it was always that hard side. But I know my mama loved me, and I love her to death. But it was never said like, "Oh, I just love you." It wasn't all that lovey-dovey stuff.
Yeah.
So now my kids just told me recently that between me and their moms, I'm the one that's more lovey-dovey. And reason why, because I said I want to show y'all some stuff that I wasn't really showing a lot of. Not to say my mom don't love me,
Yeah.
but just want to. I know there was something that I could have had a lot more from her, because I know. But like I said, I understand why she did it. But I also know that I think people deal with trauma just differently, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody has some trauma in their life. You know, ain't nobody live a perfect life, so it's how we adjust to it. So my daughter was telling me that between mom and dad, you don't want to always we know gonna say I love you, give me a hug, give me a kiss. Mama don't do that. And I said, well, I'm just trying to make sure y'all have it, you know. And they grown, but my thing is, I think if you have it, sometimes in your life, some things in your life you wouldn't have to go through, because I went through, you know, a lot.
Yeah.
But that came from the way I was raised.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming mama for nothing. but like I said, yeah.
She gonna get you when she see you.
But she know, like I said, me and her have these conversations now though. You know, real conversations. Like I asked her one time, she whipped me one time because I gave my money to a bomb and I walked home. And she saw me walking home. I've told this story before. And she beat my butt crazy and told me, don't ever give my money that I give you to go catch the bus to somebody, because what if something happened to you? But you have to whoop me. And I'm like 55 now, we still had that conversation. You still were wrong. She said, well, you don't understand.
Yeah, that was to teach you the meaning of unconditional love.
Yeah, whatever. She showed me.
Because you spread love, unconditional love is 2 different things. Giving the bum money, it makes you feel good, right?
Yeah, it did. And I walked home with my friends.
But that unconditional love, you walked home and had that house, that food, and them shirts on your back. What was more important?
Man, mama was wrong. I don't care what you say. Like I said, and I tell her that all the time. You were wrong for whooping me. I was being nice, and you still whoop me. I'm gonna be traumatized.
She didn't work for the bomb.
She didn't work for it. She take it too far. Yeah, and she told me. She said, I give you money. I don't give that bomb money. I said, Mama, it was still
That
wrong.
wasn't your money to give away.
I'm still gonna cook you dinner.
You need
but you're
your
wrong. So yeah. But yeah, everybody deal with trauma different. So.
Yeah, that shouldn't have been trauma. That should have been a lesson.
It was. You could see. Like I said, you may call it a lesson. I call it traumatized. That's how I felt, man.
But as we're talking about something, we actually as grown men debating something we did as children, right? But when we're trying to discipline our child, the first thing we do is they do something we don't like, we whoop them, instead of actually telling them like maybe why not they don't need to do this.
Why?
Why do we do that? Because they was done like that.
Hold on, baby.
And it's,
What'd you say?
I've only hit my boy once.
did you get whooped?
I got my ass whooped.
You
I'm
mean
talking
the
about from
proverbial
fish
we,
to switches.
not everybody. He said,
Yeah,
Black people.
yeah.
I think that's a
I got
generational
specific.
trauma response. That,
No, I mean, I understand the spanking
You know.
and whippings, and everybody takes spanking, whipping, and beatings differently. I get what you're saying.
yeah.
But it was, to me now, I'm capable of it, but I don't. I try to use even with my daughter, Dre will tell you this, I use my words more as opposed to my fists and my switches.
Because you're disciplining them that way.
But one time I did have to get on my butt. I never had to get my daughter like that. No, we got girls, so can't do that. I only had to get my boy once, his whole life. And 3 seconds in, I'm like, fuck, I can't do this.
Right. But what I was trying to get to is, if he did that and he gave a bomb money, that means there's something in his heart that like even as a child he felt like he wanted to do that. I feel like we don't explore like our children enough to see who they are. Like if he like what would make him do it as opposed to me telling him not to do it, what actually made him do that?
Because two things to me. I think that whipping, whooping, spanking, whatever, that we do to our children, we being black folks, is a generational trauma response. I don't like what you did. I run you, I'm finna put my hands on you. Or I'm mad. I'm whooping you because I'm mad. And then once I calm down, I want to talk to you about it. You should have talked to the child before because then now you're concerned that we got, all these kids out here now, they don't know what to do with their emotions or their anger. The first thing they want to do is put their hands on somebody or pick up something because nobody has told them, okay, you embarrassed, you upset, let's figure this out. Or you should be embarrassed. What you did was absolutely ridiculous. Or okay, you fell down and everybody laughing. Laugh at yourself and get up and go on about your business and then laugh at the next person the next time. But everything now is, I'm mad at you, I'm gonna show you.
Right.
And the best way I can show you is physically. And you're not disciplining them that way, you're punishing them, but you're punishing them about how they made you feel.
So what about back in the day, Dre? You may have tested this, I don't know if it'll happen to you. How about you got they gave you the so-called talk to explain what you did wrong, all that, and still whoop your ass?
Why they do it? They still pissed at you. I don't like what you
ain't supposed to
did.
do this, and still you gonna talk to me?
And then they think though, okay, well, and I've heard the rationale, well, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make sure you don't do it again. If we be honest with ourselves, you're not teaching them not to do it again. If it worked, you wouldn't have to keep doing it. You now taught them to go behind your back and make sure that you don't find
Get
out
caught.
that they did.
Yeah, do it again. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if we talk about it and we figure this out, and why did you do this, and you disappointed me, and now because of that disappointment, this is the natural cause to that, that's gonna last a little bit longer because I can't whoop them forever.
Right. Right.
You get online now, you see these kids, they going upside their grandmama head.
I'll tell you.
That's the day I'm going to jail.
See, but okay. Now, and what you just said, I agree with all that. But it starts way back in the day. But right now, in this time now, it's almost like you almost say it's too late. Because when I say it's too late, because it's so much going on. And like I said, back in my day, I personally think some of these kids need their ass whooped. It's just my opinion. Because if they had it, if there was some discipline in their life, some of the things they're doing now they wouldn't be doing.
Discipline or punishment?
Tell me the difference.
Discipline is, I want to teach you. I want to teach you about the whole thing and why it was wrong and what you need to do next time. Punishment is, I want to make you suffer for what you did. What we do with the people in prison?
Yeah.
I was just going to say that.
It's not rehabilitation.
I was just going to say that.
And a whooping ain't rehabilitation. A whooping is, I'm punishing you for what you did. In my mind, I want to say it's because you ain't going to do that again. But if I got to keep whooping you for it, you ain't learned nothing.
It's almost making them tougher. You don't care.
It ain't almost, it is.
It is.
They can take a lick. They ready to fight.
Depending on who get that lick.
Or
Now they ain't scared of the lick from mom and dad, but when that judge getting a lick, all of a sudden now they want to be a child.
they look for a few minutes until they get into the prison
You know what I'm
situation and they have to
And
adapt to that, right?
and then they're gonna be used to
and
that.
they become tough and they become institutionalized, and then you send them home to us, and everything has been disrupted.
So the cycle is the cycle. Where can this cycle be broken at? That's where I was,
Of course, this.
Because if it's generational trauma that we're being raised to do it, and it's not working, but we don't know it's not working. I guess not working. But then it's too late because these kids are. So where do we start?
Where do you break the cycle?
Yeah, it got to start with us. But the point is, if it started with us, is it too late? Are we too late for this?
I don't want to say that.
But
I would hope that it's not. But I want to be rational too, right? There's this movie that I refer to a lot. Just the beginning of the movie, because the movie is really stupid. But it's called, golly.
Who playing?
Don't look at Eric and say that.
I cannot think of the name of it. I'm probably gonna have to shoot you the text when I remember. But in the beginning of the movie, Terry Crews is in it. In the beginning of the movie, there's a split screen. And there's a couple, seem kind of well-to-do. They got their lives in order, and they like, we're gonna wait to have children until we get our careers in order. We're gonna take care of this and take care of that, right? This is that screen. And then on the other screen, you got this other couple, and they obviously rough. They going upside each other's head, they fighting, and they done had some kids together, and then here's another woman that gets added into the screen because he done had kids with her. And then it speeds up and it speeds up, and he done had a bunch of kids over here, and she done had kids over there, and she done had kids over here. This couple got their lives together, got their careers together, got married, but whatever happened didn't happen. They never had children. They end up getting a divorce. Speed up 20, 30 years later, the world is populated with who?
The other kids.
And these people, by the time they done got a hold to the world, they don't believe in drinking water. They don't believe in eating things that come from the earth. The world is completely falling apart. But that's kind of what, you know, people who make rational decisions, who are not impulsive, who are intentional, we're not out here just having a bunch of children and not being involved in their lives and not trying to practice discipline over punishment and not putting our children in therapy or going to therapy for ourselves. We are a minority. Everybody else
taking over. Yeah.
So in your profession, do you believe in ADHD and ADD and all that?
I do. I do. What someone needs to address it can be different. I'm not somebody that does not believe in medication. I don't think that everyone needs it, but if you do need it, you need to recognize what it's for. It's for you to take within the time frame you need to take it, because all medications are not lifelong medications. But if this is how thick your issue is, you take medication and it can shave the edge off a little bit for you to exercise the other skills that you've learned. And now this is what you do for the rest of your life. Now should something happen again and you need a little shave off again, then you do it again. And there are some people now that have a lifelong thing. You need to take your medicine. Just like if you got diabetes and you refuse to do the other stuff you need to do, you need to take your medicine.
Let me back this last time. What's the difference between? Is it a chemical back between therapy and medication? What's the
difference?
After that line, because it's like almost like the therapy should work without the medication, or does the medication help the therapy work?
They can play off of each other. You know, both things change your brain chemistry. Anything that we come in contact with, either externally or how you activate the chemicals in your brain, can change the way you think and the way you feel, right? If we're like when we were sitting outside on the patio and it got cold, the brain sends a bunch of signals. You are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Make a move.
Yeah.
You could just as well have sat there and decided, you know, I'm gonna breathe through this, I'm gonna relax my muscles, I'm gonna pay attention to this and not pay attention to the cold. And those brain chemicals that were going out before would not be going out because you did not allow them to. Medication is just like, okay, this is something going on here, let me put another chemical in here to block certain receptors or to help release those receptors faster. And some people just need that a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people need medication for things that people don't realize it's for. You know, lots of people in our community may deal with things like schizophrenia, and they don't want to take their medication because it makes them feel unlike themselves. But they kind of need that to calm what's happening so that it doesn't feed into the other things that will make them act out. But we don't just, I love my people, I do, but we just be saying some stuff sometimes. Everybody didn't get something put in their drink. Who is doing it? That's not what happens. There is a window of time where most people will develop schizophrenia, and the reason why that idea of something being placed in your drink is logical is only because of the window of time.
Right.
18 to 25. And that's when we all outside and having a good time and we drinking. And now you think that somebody putting something in everybody's drink. No, they were predisposed to schizophrenia anyway, and it was time.
No, but no, I know something.
Or the weed activated it.
Right. That's crazy.
So, I just want us to do better.
Yeah. Tebow Henderson in your life.
Boy, I'm so happy people know I drink.
You ever notice?
I just think it just chills me.
No, I'm saying, you ever notice nobody call alcohol a drug?
No, they don't.
I mean,
It's a drug.
Anything could be a drug.
Yeah, anything could be a
Sex is
drug,
But when people say drug, you don't think about Hennessy.
No.
What? So I think we were programmed to do that because if they can sell alcohol in liquor stores to anybody, they don't want to label it as a drug because then they won't be able to sell it.
Right.
So that's why. So we programmed.
Because we used to couldn't have alcohol.
Right.
Right. Then prohibition happened.
And then they.
You know, and then we back to we don't want the government in our business. Yes, you do, because you want them to say alcohol legal.
No.
You want them to say marijuana legal. You do want the government in your business.
The government
So you
found
want?
out.
I can deal with government sometimes. I won't deal with them all the
I don't
time.
want them all.
Yeah. You want? Yeah.
When I need them, I need them. I put a back signal out and tell, hey,
If you come out with something new that
I want
they have
to
not
this
thought
with the
of,
government.
you making millions and billions of dollars, they're gonna make it legal so they can do it.
Absolutely. It's the American way.
Yeah, it is the American way, which is crap. You are a very down-to-earth person.
Thank you.
Your husband told you he was going to be that way, and he did not lie. But I can see how you two balance each other out. Just talking to you, I can see, and then talking to him, I can see how y'all work well together. And I think that's the foundation of any relationship. When you find somebody you work well with, that's it.
Yeah, we coexist very well.
He told me.
Yeah.
Yeah.